Toughest Rodeo at the 𝗀̈cie World's Toughest Rodeo, January 10th and 11th at Wells Fargo Arena. It's rodeo and a whole lot more. Come early for autographs, pony rides, and more. See more action, the best entertainment, and be part of the fun. It's too great to wait. Get tickets now at HiVTix.com. It's wild, it's western, it's pro rodeo at the 𝗀̈cie World's Toughest Rodeo, January 10th and 11th.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
Good morning. Thursday, the 12th of December. I'm Chris Williams, joined as always by Chris Hassel. We are in the Channel Seed Studios. We are presented by our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery. We've got a splash of Maddie Van Winks as well today. Look at this cool Channel Seed mug the fella sent me.
Nice.
Do you want one?
Sure.
Would you actually use it, or is it too elitist?
Well, you know me. I only like using these little glasswares.
Speaking of our sponsors,
Yeah.
I went out and saw Pat Hoffman over at
Oh,
Wall
nice.
to Wall, their
Yeah.
new whiskey release. Oh my god,
Nice.
It was so busy out there. They had the longest line.
I'm not surprised. It's the best
Yes.
whiskey in the world, baby. What did you try?
I got the cherry cask one.
Oh,
they
yeah.
got- yeah,
Yeah, that's good
Oh yeah,
stuff right there.
I had some of that
the sherry
the other
cask.
night.
Sherry cask, not cherry.
Damn good, just damn good.
Crack that open.
That's a good reminder. Holiday gifts. Everybody likes a bottle of whiskey. Am I wrong? Has anybody ever given you a bottle of whiskey and you're like, God, I hate that gift?
God
No.
He did tell me they had a few people stop out based on Hassel's reaction to their whiskey.
When did it turn into you're having an orgasm? Like at some point that switched.
So
Well,
do
it
we?
went from to
Does everyone know the origin story?
Well, it's because the guy's like, oh,
Yes, and so that's on the
you should listen to
CW
the
pod, right?
Yeah, you should
The
listen to this
CW pod
podcast.
starts. And he's like, Steeple, sponsored by Steeple Ridge. Pop it open. And so then it kind of evolves to. Why aren't you asking me about how I'm all dressed up?
Real quick, so I'm walking to the stadium. I'm leaving my hotel room
What
Saturday
stadium?
morning, and
Big 12.
I'm walking out of my room about the same time that these two Arizona State fans are, this husband and wife. Mm-hmm. And we're walking to the elevator, and it was just nice chit-chat, like, who do you think's going to win the game today? And some dude was just letting his wife or girlfriend or whatever have it.
What?
She
Really?
was screaming. Yes, and like you want to talk about an
She was
awkward
screaming at him, or he was screaming at her.
She was having a good time. Let's put it that way. And she was letting everybody in the entire hotel know how good of a time she was having.
oh, like in the room.
Yes,
next
in
to
it.
you.
We were walking to the
Oh.
elevator, and this couple was going at it. And
In
I'm
a hotel room.
Yes. And I'm walking, having this conversation with this like 60-year-old couple from Arizona State while this woman is just wailing in the background. And it was just like, oh, yeah, it's shame it's raining today.
Amazing. I know you're not going to ask because I don't even think you look at the monitor while you're doing the show, Williams, but I'm
No.
dressed up because I have to go to work immediately when we're done.
Why?
Because I have an earlier show today, and that is why today's show is only going to be an hour, but we have the solution, Williams, and I think this is going to work even better.
This is really, one of your best ideas.
Let the listeners know why
Well,
and when they're getting overtime.
overtime tomorrow at 9 a.m. Tomorrow at
because
9 a.m.
we can react to
Yes.
Iowa's victory in the Cy-Hawk men's basketball game, just like they had in the women's game on Wednesday.
Perfect. That's perfect. Good idea there. Let you get to work. So, yeah, our show today, special half-hour show tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, reacting to tonight's game, which is a 6:30 tip on Fox Sports 1, a little earlier than last night's game. Was the 8 o'clock tip, 9 o'clock for you out there in Florida. Really a frustrating game if you're an Iowa State fan. If you're an Iowa fan, you feel the total opposite. I was thinking about this, Chris. Iowa State went 6 of 16 from the free throw line and committed 21 turnovers and still had a chance to win the game at the end, which is kind of incredible, really. Like
Yeah.
on the road, if you just put those two things together, you would think that this was a blowout.
Both teams missed a bunch of free throws. What the hell's going on? It used to be like
The women used
there
to
was
be way
there was
better.
one thing you could count on in women's basketball, and it's that
Yeah.
the free throw shooting was going to be better than on the men's side. That was a pathetic display of free throw shooting on both sides.
Can I say it too? And it's not just because Iowa State lost. I think any objective viewer of that game, the officiating last night was horrible. They should have called
It seemed
half
like
the
there were
amount of
complaints
fouls
on both
that they
sides.
did.
And yes, I hate it.
There was
when-
no flow in that game whatsoever.
when the game is decided at the free throw line. I mean,
God, it was
Iowa had 25 free throws attempted. Iowa State had 16 free throws attempted. And in the women's game, the way it's set up, where fouls reset after each quarter, that should not happen. That's why I love the way the women's game is set up compared to the men, is because in the men's side, you can get into the bonus with 15 minutes to go and a half. The women's side, it's not possible because it resets in the quarters. I did enjoy the game. It was a good watch.
Yeah, it was good
I
drama.
would sign up for that right now if the men's game is that competitive, because we just haven't seen that on the men's side. But how about the spread in this game? Can you believe
I missed that.
Iowa was favored by Keith Murphy said one of his friends got it at 9.5. I only saw it at 7.5, in some places 8.5. But
Yeah, I don't get it.
Iowa State was not expected to win this game, not expected to be in the position that they were. And
I think Iowa clearly should have been favored last night based on how Iowa State has been playing.
Well, are we at the point now where we're going to say that Iowa is the better team?
I mean, they just beat them.
But it was at Carver, and they needed a 10-point comeback in the
Yeah,
second
I don't know.
half.
I think Iowa State will be a better team in February than it is
Well,
now.
yeah.
The only reason I say that is Emily Ryan is not 100%. Saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, she looked like a shell of herself last night. And then, they just lost Mackenzie Hare. We got that press release right before the game. So, like, they're shifting people around right now. And they're still really young. But I think Iowa is right now. I mean, they have a better non-conference resume than Iowa State does at this point.
I feel like
they
these
beat
two
them.
teams are pretty darn evenly matched. You had Addie
I do
Brown was
too,
out
but
for
I'm
a
just-
long stretch of that game too.
I'm just saying, if I didn't live in Iowa and you showed me each team's resume and then the
I
one
agree.
team just beat the other,
I
mean,
agree. I think Iowa's better at this point.
yeah. I think
And
Iowa
who-
State probably has a higher top end.
The hell would have thought that going into the season? I mean, Iowa loses the best player in program history, the best player in college basketball in Caitlin Clark, and another WNBA player in Kate Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa
Yeah,
State
don't forget about her.
has everybody. They come in top 10 preseason. Iowa isn't even sniffing the top 25. And
I mean-
at this point, Iowa, we're looking at Iowa as the better team. That's
Iowa
stunning.
State lost to Northern Iowa and barely beat Drake.
Yeah. And got embarrassed by South Carolina.
Correct. So they're really still they're all sophomores. They'll get better, but it's been really disappointing. There's no other way around it. I don't know. Like last night, again, it was just such a rigid game. I've been around women's basketball a long time. Like the officiating in that, I don't know what the answer is. Like I don't know how you get it better, but God, it was bad last night. Just how many fouls did they call in the first half alone? Like it was just. And then what does it take them so long to go to the monitor for?
God.
There was that one where O'Grady like slapped Adi in the face like after the fact. It was in the third or fourth quarter. Whatever the call ended up being or what it should have been, I'm not even arguing it. Why did it take them 10 minutes to come back from a commercial and they're still at the monitor, like looking at, like, what are we doing?
They called a flagrant one, and I don't even think that was the right call.
Well, the women's game is different. The verbiage is different, and it's wrong. They called it an intentional. They don't have like flagrants in the women's game. It's all intentional. That was, and if that was not intentional, it was unintentional. But that's by the rule of the law. That's what it is. And I don't know. I think that could have gone either way too. But it doesn't need to take that long. If you need to look at it that long, then don't call anything.
Really good comment here by my guy Gook on YouTube that he says Iowa State has more talent.
Can you say that? I don't think you can say that.
Why?
I think that's a slur.
His name's Gookin.
Yeah, I don't think you can shorten it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do that anymore. Alex
just
Gookin.
Looking out for you.
He says that Iowa State has more talent. Iowa is the more cohesive team. Iowa State way too dependent on Adi, especially at the end of the game. No adjustments when Iowa flipped the switch. I mean, I think that sums it up pretty well.
I think that is a very good summation of where we're at right now. I still think Iowa State ends up having the better season when all is said and done.
They could still win the Big 12.
Ceiling and floor. I think Iowa State has the higher ceiling.
Yes.
When you get into tournament play, I think Iowa State, if they're rolling, they could make a run.
I was really impressed with lucy Olson too. I hadn't really watched her
She's
much
a good
this year.
player.
Yeah,
she's able to create a lot of. She creates.
She's
her shot
unique.
really
I love
well.
I love her shot. Like there's a little hitch in her shot. She kind of hangs a little bit.
Yeah.
Mid-range jumpers, swagger. That was great.
She reminds me of somebody in the NBA, but I can't think of who. But she just creates, right? Like she creates. She can finish. Not a great shooter, right? Like she's not this like
your
elite.
Shot is something that in the women's game you don't see.
Brian
it that
says
often.
she hangs like Jordan. Like I couldn't put my finger on it, but she's very unique. Is just the best word. Yeah, and she's not this like crazy 3-point threat. Like it's not. But she's so the athleticism, the unselfishness. She's a much better defender than people probably thought when she came in. She's a smart player, and she has a fun personality too. She's one that you just like. She's like Adi. Like
I really
Adi's
enjoyed
contagious. I want to see her on camera. Lucy's like that for Iowa.
After the game, when she was interviewed, you could kind of tell like she's not used to this limelight. She's not used to being in these situations.
No,
like
the Villanova crowd didn't show up like last night.
It was almost like she was almost like, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad." Like she was so excited to just be in that atmosphere and on national TV in that moment. And that's a change. I mean, from the Iowa women's basketball team. I mean, in the past, they everybody was ready to go on camera, and it was more business-like, right? This is a different vibe this year.
And we're used to. Well, let's just be honest. We're used to Caitlin, who was very demonstrative.
Oh yeah,
right. Like, it's just she's a fun player, fun player.
James says that it was a coaching malpractice by Fennelly between Addie's time management, or no, Addie. I'm sorry, he's talking about Addie. The time management there with, I believe, the fouls. She had 3 fouls and then didn't play for a long stretch, even to start
and
the
they
second
kept
half.
the lead, though. I mean, the announcers kind of talked about that. I think he was
known
waiting
for doing that, too.
He's very conservative when they have 3 fouls.
But he also mentions timeout management. I think the biggest thing down the stretch was Iowa State kept trying to go through Audie Crooks down low, and Iowa made some kind of adjustment in that fourth quarter. I mean, she went 10-plus minutes without scoring. What would you say is the reason Iowa State blew a 10-point lead in the second half and lost this game?
Well, I would be a hypocrite because I've said time and time again that I just want them in those positions to just keep going to Audie because she's so unstoppable. And what did she have, 30? Like, I mean,
she had 31.
Like it's not like she wasn't the reason they lost that game if people were tweeting that at us.
Oh, God, no.
No,
I mean, she needs to get better at free throw shooting.
Honestly, like I don't want to pin it on one person because I love her. Emily Ryan just really struggled. She have like 10 turnovers, and she played the most of any. If anything, I don't know how you take her out because she's gotten you so many wins. She's one of the best players in program history, but she didn't have it last night, and it felt like they were better when Wilson was in the game at point guard, even for just 9 minutes. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't like. I would be a total hypocrite if I said don't give the ball to Adi Crooks because I tell him to do that all the time. Like,
but you've got someone else.
Yeah, and
also
early in
has
the
to
game,
step up and take some pressure off of her.
Early in the game, Addie hit those threes. It was spreading everything out, and then that just all. But I mean, look at that. Look at that box score. Audie had 31. Addie had 13. The next highest was Emily Ryan with 9, and then it's 3, 2, 3, 3, 5. Like
Audie had half of the field goals in this game. Audie was 14 for 22. The rest of the team
she's got to get some help.
Was 14 for 32.
I thought they were going to win the game when Hansford came off the bench and hit that 3 because she was like a 45% 3-point shooter at Oregon State, and she's like been 1 of 20 during her time at Iowa State, and I was like, that's what they needed. And then she popped another one and missed it, and it was over. Like they need outside help for Audie.
Yeah, and they kept getting the ball into Audie, and Audie would score over like double teams, and that's when I was like, man, they don't have an answer for her. But she did kind of wear out down the stretch, and Iowa took advantage of that.
Props to Iowa for hanging in there the way that they did. I mean, they got down double digits at one point, and that crowd was great. Picked them up at the end when they needed it. Jan Jensen working the crowd at specific
The crowd was
times.
great. It's going to be interesting to see, how the atmosphere matches with the men.
Yes,
tonight compared to Wednesday.
My hat goes off to Iowa real quick before we go to the men. They're a really good defensive team.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Whatever they've done in the offseason as far as that coaching them up and developing on the defensive end, and really smart by Jan Jensen to look at who's gonna lead us this year? It's gonna be Lucy Olson. She's got those long arms, hyper athletic, moves her feet really well, and they've done a really good job of. I don't want to say changing their identity because I don't even know if that's true, but they have.
No, I think you can say that.
Think so? Yeah, I mean
Absolutely.
they looked like a really, really strong defensive team last night.
Really good win for Iowa. Great start for Jan Jensen and her tenure there.
Let's move on to the men's game, which is tonight. Iowa State, I believe the last I saw, is a 5.5-point favorite in this one. Be interesting to see how that moves throughout the day. I don't know.
Do you think it will move?
I don't know. I think in this state, people are probably going to bet on Iowa State, right? Even Iowa fans probably. Wouldn't you?
I think that, I don't know.
Not saying would you bet that way? I'm saying what do you think people will do in this state?
What I think is going to happen is a lot of Iowa State fans are going to jump on Iowa State. I think most Iowa State fans think this is going to be easier than it's probably going to be. Like, even though Iowa State is the better team, and I don't think nobody can dispute that they're quite a bit better than Iowa.
No.
I think that this is going to be a tough spot for them. As much as we shit on the atmosphere at Carver, I think it's going to be a good, engaged crowd. And shit, they haven't won there since Fred Hoiberg was the coach.
14? Was it 16?
14.
10 years.
10 years it's been since Iowa State has won at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Think of the Sweet 16s, the NBA players, 10 years.
And you know what I think it is? I think it's the Carver kiss curse from George Niang. They have not
won. You got to cut
won
this clip, and we're sending
George
this to Niang. We got to get a response.
Blew a kiss to the crowd.
Wow.
Hang on, it's coming up here.
I mean, can you argue against that? Not only has Iowa State not won,
just abusing
since
Iowa.
He blew the kiss.
Just
Iowa has
abusing
won
you guys.
the next 4 games by an average of 19 points per game. Iowa State hasn't had a lead in the second half in any game since.
The 19 points thing is the key. It hasn't been close. Like, these aren't games going down to the wire.
No, Iowa's put these games away in the first half.
Now let me say that. So last year's game, or the last one, when we were out in Vegas watching it, I'm on record, it was one of the worst days of my life.
Yeah, I got to watch that with you and Bloom.
Oh my God!
Look you could tell how long it's been, but look at the length of the shorts. That's how long it's been since George Niang cursed the Cyclones with his Carver kiss right
When
there.
did those come back, right? Like, the style, like, it always has an ebb and flow to it. Will we ever get back to the point? Look at Abdul Nader's shorts. They're like 2 inches past his knees. He's 6'7".
So I have
30 years. 30 years they'll be back.
I have a betting tip here. So the
Okay.
Hawkeyes haven't closed worse than a 4-point home underdog since 2016. So 2016, they were +6. They won that game 78-64. 2018, +2, won 98-84. 2020, Iowa was a 12.5-point favorite. They blew Iowa State out 105-77. In 2022, they won as well.
Can we go back to that locker room
Take
video
Iowa.
of Niang talking his shit in the locker room?
Oh yeah, let me pull up the audio.
It's one of my
Hang on.
favorite. I miss that guy. I wish he was still around. Although it's fun watching him play for arguably the best team in the NBA too.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say about putting a curse on his own program.
I will caveat to it, and let me ask you about this. Is it possible? So let's look at the other angle, because neither one of us expect like a blowout, like weird things happen in this game, and especially in that bill. And really, they've been blowouts on both sides more often than not, other than the weird prom years, right? Like,
Yeah, the last 6
the
games
shoe
have all
thing
been,
with Bohannon.
average of 20 plus.
I mean,
I think
last year's game
on
was
each
a
side.
bloodbath in Hilton.
Yep.
Is there a caveat here where maybe Iowa State's just that good this year? Like, maybe they're so talented, it's such a bad matchup for Iowa where they could pull away.
Well,
Do you buy into that at all?
I did want to ask you about the matchup because you go back, you look at last year's game, and Gilbert could do whatever the hell he wanted, and the guy's going to be slicing and dicing in the paint. Bob
Dick's on
Jones
him, right?
was perfect from the floor because he was just Iowa doesn't have anybody on the interior that can match up with bigs, with
What about the
a
presidents?
big with a pulse, and now you've got the presidents.
Yeah.
How difficult are they going to be for Iowa to contain on the glass and inside?
So doesn't Iowa just pack the paint and then hope Iowa State doesn't shoot well? And then I'm trying, like, a path to an Iowa win tonight. You pack the paint.
You can try to pack the paint, but I mean, can
And
you?
then Sanford and the boys for the Hawkeyes just get hot and make.
This is all
15
going to come down.
threes.
Yeah, I think the game will come down to the other side of the floor, and is Iowa going to shoot it 40% from 3-point range?
Yeah.
Are they going to hit 13 threes? That's, I think, going to be the way that Iowa wins this game. I don't think it's going to be easy. I really don't. I mean,
I don't either. And look around the country, man. Like,
Iowa's not a bad team. We've been saying this all season. Like, Iowa
No.
is a tournament team.
they're
We
a more
believe it
balanced
from
team
the
than
start
they
of the
usually
year.
are. Yes, absolutely agree.
Now, they might not have, a great inside presence. Owen Freeman is not a good defender. They don't have, a Gilbert.
They
who
don't
can-
have like an alpha dog like
No.
Garza was. Like, in Sanford, I think we've kind of held on thinking he might become that guy. He's definitely their best player, but he'll also like just disappear and go like 3 of 15 when you don't expect it. Iowa had the Murrays, they had Garza, like these dudes that you could just count on all the time, and they don't have that. But I think they're a more balanced. This may be the most balanced Fran team. I'm not saying it's the best. Like, A lot of Iowa State fans have accused us of saying we don't believe that. What I'm saying is this team might have the ability to get some stops, like as we watch it evolve and mature down the stretch where these other ones
can be better defensively when healthy.
And they still have shooters.
Is supposed to be back, expected to be back, and he's going to help. Absolutely. I see the length, the size, the girth of those presidents. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, boy.
Do you like the presidents or the law firm of Jackson and Jefferson?
No, it's the presidents.
Okay.
The founding fathers.
Working on a shirt for Cyclone Fanatic.
The founding fathers of Iowa State basketball.
It'll be fascinating tonight. I can't wait. I'm going. I had a couple of Iowa State fans offer to be backup for me and just kind of
security.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to sit?
In the old press area. I got a credential.
That weird Carver press area that's 20 rows up.
Yeah, the balcony or whatever little press. Yeah, they take good care of me over at Iowa City. I like the media relations folks over there. They're really they do a great job. I'm serious. They're really, really nice to me over there.
Speaking of presidents, this is my president.
Cyclone State.
That's my president right there.
They us one time, and we just keep prevailing. We gonna shock the world. We ain't done yet.
George Niang for president.
That's interesting.
Nobody hates Iowa more than Niang.
God, I love him.
Well, he cursed you guys.
I might like Niang more than Purdy. I don't know.
Shut up.
God.
By the way, I have a dilemma tonight. I have Cyhawk and 49ers.
Is it Drew Tate? I've heard the story of Drew Tate.
I love how Williams just completely disregards things that people say on here. Van Winks comes in talking about Brock Purdy and the 49ers playing at the same time, and you're talking about Drew Tate?
No, I'm asking who's your so like our guy is Niang and just hates Iowa.
Yeah.
So like I've heard stories of Drew Tate standing on Melrose Avenue flipping off the Iowa State bus as it leaves Iowa City. Like, who's your guy?
Like a guy that just hates Iowa State?
No, who's maybe not even that.
I don't think
owns Iowa State.
Like Iowa players don't even think about Iowa State.
Oh, okay, I put that on a tee.
They don't like your little brother. It's not
Don
a rivalry.
Hassel. It's Don.
Yeah, it's Don Hassel.
Yeah,
it's
is it
you?
Zach
spend more time
J-Bo?
tweeting about the Cyclones than your own team.
Look at J-Bo. I mean, he left those shoes.
Yeah, maybe.
He had a lot of nice things to say about Iowa State, especially on this
I think
podcast.
J-Bo, knowing him pretty well, I think he just loves talking shit. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was ever like him and Niang are kind of like that. Like Niang will just talk shit no matter what. Iowa State could lose by 40 tonight, and he'll find a way to talk shit. That's just George.
Didn't you call me on like a 3-way phone conversation with Niang, and he was cussing me out for something?
Yeah, something you put up on the. Oh, I know what it was. He was pissed.
He was so mad.
It was when Iowa State beat Iowa in volleyball this year. And
I said I didn't even know Iowa had a volleyball team. Like, who?
And that clip got put on Twitter, and Niang watched it, and he called me, and George doesn't even say hello. That motherfucking Chris Hassel, I was starting to fucking like him, and he doesn't even support Iowa volleyball. Man, these fucking Iowa fans, they don't support shit like Iowa State does. Let's call him right now.
You know what we support? We support our baseball team. You guys don't.
I actually think it's like a great Moneyball approach by Iowa State. Like, you can't be competitive in the Northern baseball. It's expensive. No. What's the point? Get out of it. I think it's being smart with our finances. You can say whatever you want, but that's how I view it, and that's going to be a topic.
You really have to be smart. I mean, things are changing big time. You really have to be smart with your finances. You have to be smart with Title IX, all that jazz.
And I am so fascinated by all these coaching moves and stuff, like how the silly season is shrunk by 75%. Nobody's getting fired because you can't afford their buyouts.
How did we get so far off topic that we left the Cyhawk men's game?
I don't know. But the best part of that whole deal is that Hassel ignored me and Niang. He was on set on his national television show where a NBA player wanted to cuss him out, and Hassel hits ignore.
Yeah, but then he sent me this just absolute rage-filled text. God.
By the way, I think that game's getting close to sold out. I think it actually.
Oh yeah,
is
let's
pretty
check
much
in on
sold
that
out.
again, because
Well,
that's been the narrative on social media, because there's a lot of tickets
everything-
available, and Iowa State fans, for whatever reason, don't want to buy them.
What a
don't want to
joke.
show up.
Iowa gets to see an actual top 5 basketball program coming to town, a legitimate
Yeah.
Final Four contender that knows how to play defense. It's coming to town, your biggest rival, and you guys can't even come close to selling it out.
What are we looking at here,
Well,
Vince? What are you
so
seeing?
this is Ticketmaster, and I think this is what Iowa uses, and everything's a resale. So I think everything's been bought up. Some people
I don't
are
believe
selling
that.
them.
There's
back for
no
about-
way this game is sold out.
No,
I don't believe it.
Well, I don't think so either. And
Iowa
I did,
fans are incapable of doing that for men's basketball.
I did some research on
close.
this particular matchup over the years. This game is never sold out at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Never. I mean, you have to go back 15 plus years to find a Cyhawk game at Carver that's been sold out. I mean, I was looking at the past games, the recent games that these teams have played against one another at Carver. And let's see, I'm looking at, okay, go back to 2010, there was 13,000. Let's see, here we go. I'm going backwards here, but starting in 22 was the last game, 14,500. So it was close. They were in the hundreds. Between 500 and 1,000 seats not sold for the Iowa win. Go back to 2020. That was the COVID year. The actual attendance was 560. Go back to
that
2018.
game was a bloodbath too. That was horrible.
That was 105-77.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Go back to 2018. Iowa won by 14. There were 13,400 fans. Go back to 2016, 13,900 fans. And Carver holds, back then it was 15,500. Now I think it's right around 15,000. So this game just does not sell out. Not in Iowa City.
I wonder, back in the Tom Davis days, it did, right?
Oh, I'm sure back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go back, I think all you have to do is go back to, 2005, 2004, 2006, that time frame when Alford kind of had things going at Iowa in his earlier years. I'm sure it was sold out then. And I'm sure it was sold out in the 90s.
I remember one game, I don't remember which Cyhawk game it was, but it was in the last 10 years. It was one of the last ones I went to. And I sat in the stands with some advertisers. And we didn't have there was no one around us. We could put our feet up. It was so bad.
This is at the Cyhawk game?
Gosh, wait
Yeah.
a minute. I was way wrong.
Oh, there you go.
Look at
Wow.
me. What?
I was on Ticket. I didn't.
Jesus, Matt.
Apparently, they used some other site. There are a lot of seats left. Sorry, guys. Wow.
Is that the problem? Fans just can't find them to buy?
That's
Okay. There's
What
thousands.
would you guess? How many seats are left? What do you think? 2,000?
2,000 probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's not that out of the ordinary.
well,
But I'm telling you,
yeah.
I'm surprised. I really am surprised that Iowa State fans aren't
Here we
just
go.
taking this thing over. What are you doing? Iowa State fans are making excuses. They're like,
You are something
It's a
else.
6:30 tip-off. What am I going to do? I'm going to leave work early and drive all the way from Des Moines to you're using. It's the same excuses that you've been making fun of Iowa fans for.
How's the Hawks Nest going to be? Is this the Hawks Nest here?
No, the Hawks Nest is on the other side. And
this little section here.
Did you see that? So that section is gone. Did you see that? This year they've taken even more seats out of the Hawks Nest.
I thought Matt was making a joke. Oh, that's for your entire student section.
No, there's nothing there. It's the floor.
Oh,
it's they made a tunnel there, and so now there's even fewer
So it's
seats.
just a big gap.
Probably because no students will come, so they're like, we're gonna take out those seats and build a tunnel.
Good comment here from Ben on YouTube. He says, "Well, it's a long drive from Des Moines, I'm told."
Well,
You guys
good
have been
news
saying
too,
that for
Hassel.
how many? Oh, I can't drive
That's
there.
what I'm saying. You
I
guys
can't
have
leave
been
my
making
house
fun
on a
of
work
Iowa
night.
fans for not making the drive to Des Moines. From Des Moines, you can do that right now and embarrass Iowa. You can embarrass that Iowa program by taking over that arena like Illinois does, and you're not going to do it. You're not doing it.
I wish that they would. I think it'd be awesome, but
It's a blackout tonight. Wear black. Dark mode.
I think that's mind games. Taking Iowa State's color. Look at Williams is in black right now.
let's thank our friends at Freedom Tire, shall we?
Wait.
What?
Let's give a prediction for the game.
Iowa State by 11.
11?
Yeah.
Iowa State.
I think it'll be a good
20.
game, but I think you pull away at the end. That's my.
What did you say, Van Weeks?
By 20.
Oh,
90
Jesus.
to 70.
I think this is potentially setting up as the worst 5-day stretch in Iowa State athletics history. You get embarrassed in the Big 12 championship game. Your top 10 preseason women's team gets beat by the team that was left by Caitlin Clark, left for dead, not even ranked, barely receiving any votes
This
in
is
the top
ridiculous.
25.
They're in
And
the
now
top 25.
You're finally ranked in the top 3. It's your highest ranking of all time. You're coming to a half-empty Carver Hawkeye Arena, thinking you're just going to roll over Fran's boys. But I think Iowa wins this game outright.
Shut up.
And you guys are on, hide the belts. You guys are ready to denounce your fandom because it's just going to be too hard to exist as an Iowa State fan after these 5 days of ineptitude. Hawkeyes win by 1 on a Josh Dix buzzer beater, a Dix beater.
That would be
Again.
incredible considering what happened at Michigan and then the Northwestern game before that. I was just living and dying on these buzzer beaters. Listen, I think Iowa's a much better team than most Iowa State fans think. I also think Iowa State's pretty good. Pretty darn good. So
Iowa State's really good. Iowa State is a legit Final Four contender.
Mm-hmm.
But you're playing at Iowa. You're playing at Carver. The players will be disappointed because there's going to be
one of
empty
those
seats
rims-
that Iowa State fans didn't fill up.
Did anybody pick up on this last night in the women's game? It felt like the right to left rim from the TV. Did you hear that thing?
No.
God, it was
I didn't
loud.
notice that.
When both teams were on it. I'm serious. Like I
when
wonder if it,
when everybody was bricking free throws?
yes. I wonder.
Clang.
I wonder if it was how the TV had the mic set up. I'm guessing they have better production because they're doing 2 games in a row there on national. I don't know. It stood out to me
I
though.
wonder if it'll be the same. No, it's not going to be the same announcers, right? Because isn't Bill Raftery going to be on the call? Thought I heard
it
Bill
won't be-
Raftery might
It's
be on the
not
call.
the same announcers. Those the women who did last night, I think, are exclusive. They do FS1 women's games, but I've never seen them
They
on
do.
men's.
She does the play-by-play lady. She does men's games too. I mean, I think she's.
I'm
done an
saying
Iowa
the
game on
analyst.
Big Ten Network.
I'm
the
sorry.
analyst probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're probably right. All
Freedom
right.
Tire. Get your tires. I'm not even kidding around, guys. Like, it's legit snowing. Don't jack around with your bad tires. Don't do it. You can support our friends at Freedom Tire, who supports us here on Two Guys. with Chris and Chris.
Freedom Tire.
Locations all across the Des Moines Metro, also up in Ames. When you guys are going to an Iowa State men's basketball game, you can go and get your oil changed right before at our friends at Freedom Tire. Iowa Event Center, we got the world's toughest rodeo.
Little teaser for you guys. We're going to have a contest to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the rodeo.
I want to go to the rodeo. Hell yeah.
The-
And then we've got the guy who makes the Hamilton jokes coming up here in
Sebastian.
3
Yes.
days.
On Sunday.
That's what I'd want.
It changed me. I don't think I want anything to do with that. That's coming up on Sunday.
Yes, HiVTix.com.
Very cool. I secured my Brooks and Dunn tickets, put them in my wallet the other day. Ready to go with that. Coming up in April. We got a great couple months coming up at Iowa Event Center. Okay, so it's funny. We're 40 minutes in, and we haven't talked about Matt Campbell's new contract with Iowa State. We don't know the details, and this is pretty standard. I do know that our guy Randy Peterson has already put out a FOIA request for this because that son of a gun. I love these old school journalists. They're digging. Peterson's retired full time, and he's just digging. But no, good news, and I'm really happy until 2032. That doesn't necessarily lock you in, but I want to know the details because, as I said, Chris, about 10 minutes ago, these coaching deals are all changing rapidly as far as how the contracts.
So you think that there's more weight to this now than maybe 5 years ago?
I think in basketball, at least, and we haven't seen a lot of it in football yet, but a lot of it in basketball, these coaches are trading buyout leverage for NIL money.
Okay.
And I have absolutely nobody has told me that's what happened here. But I'm thinking, if I'm a coach in 2025 and I'm negotiating a new deal, right, I would rather have less money for me and more money going to my NIL because they're already rich, right? These guys are already rich. If Matt Campbell's number one goal was to be at the best program possible where he could win national championships, he would have left in the last 5 years. So, I'm just putting my mind where he's at. Jerome Tang did this. When he renegotiated his last deal with Kansas State, when they gave him that extension, he saw how important NIL was going to be. They did a bunch of stuff with his buyout and got more money for the players guaranteed when the schools start paying. And I don't know. I want to see the details in how this thing is structured because I'm guessing it's not some huge raise for Matt Campbell. 5 years ago, it would have been we're bumping him up to $10 million. You can't do that when you're a Big 12 program now with the way that the thing is structured. So I'm guessing this is a good thing for Iowa State as far as rev share goes, but I don't know. We'll find out here, I would guess, in the next couple months.
I thought the more important note that came out alongside this was that Rocco's coming back.
Yep.
And I loved that Iowa State put that out there because that there were some fans that were worried because, his dad, what if he gets a head coaching job somewhere, whether it's West Virginia or somewhere else? You certainly, I think most fans think that he would stay, but it's nice to just get that out of the way. You don't have to think about that. The two most important people to this program, Matt Campbell and Rocco Becht, are going to be there next year. Put that out there and get all of that. That's just be proactive, right? It's more PR is really important. This time of year with the transfer portal,
these fans have to know that you have a plan, and all of these athletic departments and football programs have a plan. The problem is many of them don't want to share it. Well, when you're relying on your fans to fund everything, they're a big part of it, and I'm not going to invest my money if I think that you're incompetent when you're running the thing, right? And I'm not accusing anyone at Iowa State or Iowa of being incompetent. I guess my point is that it's more important than ever to be transparent with what your plan is going forward. And in their defense, a lot of these athletic departments, they're just figuring all this out. And I have a lot of sympathy for a lot of people working in this industry now because they don't really know on a day-to-day basis. But, I'm beating a dead horse here. But the next 2 years, fans are going to expect more with that. And this was a good, as you mentioned, PR move for Iowa State to get it out there because you got a lot of guys on campus right now, impact transfer dudes who could get you back into Arlington next year. Guys who are good enough, and you want all that positive publicity out there possible. This doesn't hurt when it comes to that.
Speaking of fans having to foot the bill and being asked to pay for players and everything else, I thought it was an interesting point brought up by Keith Murphy on Murph and Andy that a friend of his has decided that even though he goes to every Iowa State bowl game, he's not going this year because he's going to go to Ireland. How is that Ireland trip going to impact people going down to Orlando for the Pop-Tarts Bowl?
I think it's a very realistic. And a lot of those people were in Arlington last week.
And let's be honest, that game in Ireland is way more important than this game in Orlando.
And it's unique.
are traveling for men's basketball, maybe women's basketball, NCAA tournament coming up. So there's a lot of travel coming.
Yeah, and this is the third time you're going to Orlando in 6 years, 5 years,
Yeah.
whatever. It's not, and it's so expensive to get to Orlando in December. I think it absolutely impacts it. Like we're not Iowans for the most part are not filthy rich people with unlimited income. Like, and most people who are going to Ireland have it booked already. You're already either paying that bill or you
And
have.
that's way. Not only is the game bigger and more important, it's way more of an experience.
Yeah,
Right?
It's a 10-day thing for most people. Most people are going over there for much more than just that football game.
But if you've already gotten the wheels in motion to go there, maybe you've even traveled to Dallas for the Big 12 championship game. I'm not going to watch an exhibition in Orlando where you've been twice in the last 5 years.
I think that they would have had a better crowd at the Alamo, but I still think that they may have struggled to get like anywhere close to what they had in 2017.
A lot has changed since 2017. A lot
because
has
of this
changed.
very conversation.
That and the program has just been elevated to a level that, like 2017, that was kind of the launching off point.
Yes, great
That
point.
was like the arrival of Matt Campbell and that new era, and a huge opportunity, the biggest bowl game Iowa State had ever played in at the time, and this is just not that.
And a little bit like you guys, it's like when you've been to the Outback, you've been to the like so many times, it does lose its luster a little bit. Like they got to switch these bowl affiliations up. I think they're going to, but it's like every year, it's like, what are we doing? Memphis or Orlando?
The one thing that does kind of help that, where the way you don't really necessarily think about it, is the conference realignment. Like if you change conferences, your bowl destinations will change as well. But I don't think Iowa State and Iowa are going anywhere.
We got a lot to get to in about 12 minutes. Okay, so tell me about this Auburn quarterback who's transferring to Iowa.
So it's not official, but Iowa is likely, the crystal ball from 24/7 Sports, David Eichholt and those guys, they said this guy's coming. Hank Brown.
Hank. That's a great name.
Hank the Hawk.
Hank the Hawk.
Hammer and Hank the Hawk.
He's visiting Iowa today. I don't know, though, that this guy is being brought in to be the starter next season. I think a lot of Iowa fans were upset when they saw, like, oh, he was just a 3-star. He hasn't really done much at Auburn yet. From everything I'm hearing from our guys at 24/7 Sports, they're bringing this guy in as more of a long-term play. He's got several years of eligibility left. I think he'd have 3 years left.
Because they want to develop him because they have such a good track record with that.
Listen, you can make fun. This is Tim Lester. This would be his first guy.
It was tongue in cheek,
and I'm going to trust Tim Lester.
I would rather have
that right.
I don't even know anything about this guy. I would rather have him than that USC kid.
Yes.
For what that would cost you against your cap, for what he's done, like I would rather have this kid.
But I don't think Iowa's done. I think Iowa is also going to get a veteran from the transfer portal, or at least they're going to try. I think they're going to try to get a guy that's going to cost a lot more to come in and potentially be the starter next season.
So this would be like your developmental guy.
Yeah.
And
your
then
guy
you bring in another guy to help you.
This guy might end up being the third stringer to start the season behind whoever else they bring in as a veteran. And that's not a given. I think that's just what I'm told what they're trying to do. And then Brendan Sullivan, who's likely going to stay. So
Logan Jones coming back. That was big.
Big, yeah.
Got that done. That was huge.
Monstrous.
I still think, Chris, especially a program like Iowa, that when you have like a real salary cap here, it's not going to be worth it to spend $2 million a year on a quarterback. Iowa has had in the entire Ferentz era, what one quarterback that would be remotely worth that in Brad Banks, and that was like a completely different program. Let me ask:
is there going to be a salary cap?
I mean, $22 million.
But that's the cap that the athletic department can spend.
Yeah, but then there's going to be this clearinghouse thing.
Let's just say you're Ohio State. You've got $22 million in your athletic department. You're going to put $15 million into football. Won't you also still be asking the fan collectives for money to fund into that as well? Or are you really going to be capped?
I think, from what I understand, there's this clearinghouse thing that has to approve fair market value for everything that is extra. Okay? So if you bring in...
Now we're going to get cheating again.
Oh, I know.
Cheating is going to run rampant again. It's going to be, well, we're going to find a way to get this quarterback $5 million.
Is that, like, in the state of Iowa, because this is where we live, it's really hard for anybody in any capacity, even Caitlin Clark. Like, Caitlin Clark is the vast exception where she could have gotten a deal from Nike, right, like what she did, worth however many million. If this clearinghouse works the way they say it's going to, which it won't. I'm very skeptical of that. It's going to be incredibly difficult to get a backhanded $200K check from a car dealership for any athlete in the state of Iowa because of the fair market value thing. Like, you work in this business, there's not a lot of $200,000 media deals that happen in this state because of our population and all that.
But who's to say that they're going to make it public? I mean, why can't your biggest donor just say, okay, I'm giving you $1 million. Don't tell anybody.
I mean, that could happen. But then
how about
it's illegal.
The kid that's going to BYU, the number one basketball recruit in the country, is going to BYU, and the report is that he's getting between $5 and $7 million.
So I'll tell you how he's doing
one player.
So what they're doing right now, the schools don't take over until July 1. And this is all information that Bloom has talked about with me on Cyclone Fanatic. So, and he knows. On July 1, the schools take over. Anything up until then is free game. So likely what's happening with that kid is they're giving him like a $5 million, $7 million like signing bonus right now, whoever. And then he's going to get paid his stipend, whatever that is, from the university coming up on July 1.
So you're telling me that next year, BYU is not going to be able to do that? They're not going to be able to pay some kid $5 million?
Unless it's, again, Chris, this is assuming that this works, which I'm very skeptical. But, like, if it's a fair market, maybe that kid is going to be such a big enough of a star, he's like Zion Williamson, where he could pull it. I doubt it. Like, there's just not many athletes that have that sort of appeal when they're 18 years old.
I've seen some highlights. He looks damn good. He looks really
well. I
good.
mean, and that BYU, man, we've been told for a while like that their NIL deal is about ready to blow up, and they're going to be really powerful, and they proved it. They proved it with.
I don't buy that there's going to be a cap. I don't buy that all you're going to have is $21 million to spread around your athletes, and that's going to be it. And that everything else is going to be, well, $100 here and $1,000 there. I don't buy that. I don't think that's going to work. You're still going to have these people that make sure that they get the top talent by paying them extra outside of the athletic department.
Did you see this Ohio senator?
Oh, God. This is so stupid. This was just a guy looking to get publicity, and we're giving it to him.
His name's Josh Williams. No relation. Yesterday, he introduced the Ohio Sportsmanship Act. This is real. That makes flag planting at midfield of Ohio Stadium a felony. His quote, behavior that incites violent brawls and puts our law enforcement officers in danger has no place on the football field. House Bill 700 would, quote, prohibit planting a flagpole and flag at the center of Ohio Stadium football field on the day of a college football game, and to name this act the Ohio Sportsmanship Act.
But yet you can plant a flag over in Athens, Ohio, when the Bobcats,
Correct.
when you go in there and beat the Bobcats, that's fine.
Yep.
I want to see this go through and then see an Ohio State player with an Ohio State flag come and do that, and then he gets arrested. Because it doesn't say an opposing flag, any flag.
Just beat Michigan. How about that?
Yeah, beat Michigan flag. Or how about an American flag?
How about just beat them? Instead of complaining about the flag.
I mean, that would help. Yeah,
This is
Ohio
great.
State keeps... I know this isn't Ohio State doing this. This is a lawmaker who's clearly an Ohio State fan. But, like, come on. You're really
These
gonna
guys are
bring
so shameless, too, when it
more
comes
attention
to
to this loss?
tugging at sports fans. I remember when realignment started for the first time. I wasn't on full time, but I was filling in for like Ken Miller or something on KXNO. Realignment hit, and I had it was Tom Harkin and Chuck Grassley both wanted to come on the air that day, just to let Iowa State fans know we're not going to let you get. They're just totally pandering to these people about things that they had no control over whatsoever, but they were just chomping at the bit to get on the air, just to gaslight these people. And I got your back.
Mm-hmm.
What a joke. Top 3 games of the weekend. Let's go. Game day, Men's Health. Oh, you're not going to do the thingamaj?
Get up. It's game day. Chris Williams and Chris Hassel take a look at this week's best games. Powered by Game Day Men's Health.
We only have
All right, obviously,
2 minutes
we're-
left, so we're crunching.
I'm
Let's
just
go.
knocking them out by myself here.
Go.
I've
Yeah,
got
football
three,
season. College football season's over, so
I got 3 things that will fill your plate. Number 8, Gonzaga at number 18, UConn, Saturday night.
oh, okay.
I'm anxious to see how this UConn team bounces back from that.
Well, they have
disaster in
bounced
Mount-
back.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like they may be better for that long term, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is for Iowa State hoops junkies. Number 6, Marquette at Dayton on Saturday. 2 teams that Iowa State has played. I could see Dayton winning this game. And
Dayton's got a great home court atmosphere.
Yep.
I've done games there. That's like it's one of those just kind of pro style.
dude, they have
Like
a
a
beautiful
franchise.
arena.
It is. Yeah, you've been there too. That's right.
Yeah, that like media like suite area.
Oh, yeah.
It's not where they have like all the rich people hang out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
That's where I
Jimmy's Ladder
spilled
11.
I spilled my pregame meal all over my lap.
I've been to
before I
Dayton
called
with
the
you.
game there.
Yeah, Matt and we spent about 2 months in Dayton
Yep.
in one weekend. Jesus. And then, man, what an elite matchup in the NFL. We got the Bills at the Lions. Super Bowl
Ooh,
preview,
yeah.
potentially. Chiefs fans are going to debate that, but really good one on Sunday. And then Monday night, Chris, I mean, we can't talk. We got the
What's
Bears
that?
and the Vikings.
Yeah, you can go ahead and have that game. That's fine. Bears need a better draft pick anyway.
And now exactly what I told you 6 weeks ago is happening. The conversation of, oh, should we keep Sam Darnold and let
Yeah. Keep rolling with him. I've honestly forgotten that you drafted JJ McCarthy.
I know it's a hell of a spot to be in. And then God. Another time. You got to get going. That's cool.
Wait, another transfer?
The Iowa State men's basketball managers have defeated Iowa.
Well, that's going to be the only win that Iowa State's going to have on
There. That
Carver
eliminates
Hawkeye
the
Arena
possibility for the worst 5-day stretch in history.
that. Yeah, right.
The managers took care of business last night in Carver.
Zach says no OT. Yeah, we met at
Tomorrow.
the start, Zach. What we're doing is we're going to save our overtime show for a post-game Cyhawk men's treatment tomorrow morning. What time we going live?
9.
9 a.m. Central Time on Friday to discuss the worst 5-day stretch in the history of Iowa State athletics.
You have no shame. We will be back on Friday morning. Hey, go watch my podcast with Ed Wilson.
I'm looking forward to that. I hear it's great.
Yeah, it's really fun. Ed's awesome. Enjoy. Have a great weekend.